The planet Zinara was a place of wonders and dangers. Its skies glowed with swirling colors and mountains stretched high into the clouds. Forests of silver trees spread across the land, and strange rivers flowed with liquid that shimmered like crystals. Yet beauty did not protect it from war. 1 year ago, Zinara faced a threat unlike any it had known. A rogue warlord, Zorath, had risen with an army of merciless soldiers. He wanted to seize the planet's power and overthrow the alien queen, Thalira. Thalira was known for her wisdom, strength, and the loyalty she inspired in her people. But even she could not stand alone against Zorath's overwhelming force. On a day that began like any other, Zinara's capital city was under siege. Explosions shook the crystal towers and smoke filled the air. Queen Thalira, despite her royal guards, found herself trapped in the highest tower, surrounded by Zorath soldiers. The queen's heart beat fast, not from fear of death. She had faced many battles, but from concern for her people. If she fell, Zinara would be lost. Meanwhile, across the galaxy on a human ship, Captain Ethan Cross received an urgent transmission. He had been stationed at the interstellar outpost near Zinara, tasked with observing the alien civilization. But now the message was clear: Queen Thalira in danger. Immediate action required. Ethan's mind raced, but he felt no hesitation. He had been trained for impossible missions, but saving an alien queen was unlike anything he had ever faced. Ethan's ship sped through the glowing atmosphere of Zinara. The air shimmered around his vessel as he entered the planet's orbit. Below he could see the chaos, the city in flames, citizens fleeing and soldiers clashing in violent battles. The sight made his jaw tighten. Every second counted. He navigated through the smoke and fire, following the signal that led to Thalira's tower. Inside the tower, Thalira's guards were overwhelmed. She stood tall, her regal posture unshaken even as the enemies closed in. Her mind raced for a plan, but options were limited. She had heard of humans, creatures from a distant planet, but she had never imagined one could reach her here. And yet fate had decided otherwise. Ethan's ship landed outside the tower with a thunderous impact. He jumped out, his boots striking the crystalline floor with purpose. His eyes scanned the battlefield. He saw guards falling, citizens running, and Zorath soldiers advancing. Without a moment's hesitation, he sprinted toward the entrance, dodging blasts of energy and debris. Inside, Thalira fought with grace and precision. Her alien physiology made her faster and stronger than any human. But numbers were against her. Just as a soldier lunged toward her, a blur of human motion knocked him aside. Ethan had reached her. "Queen Thalira?" he called, his voice firm but calm. "I'm here to help." Thalira's eyes widened. Humans were not supposed to be this capable in battle, and yet here he was, standing in her tower, ready to face overwhelming odds. She made a quick decision. "Follow me," she said, leading him through secret corridors and stairways that only the queen knew. They moved swiftly, avoiding patrols and ambushes. Ethan marveled at the architecture: towers built from crystal and stone, corridors lit by glowing panels, and murals depicting Zinara's history. Yet there was no time to admire the beauty. Danger lurked at every turn. As they neared the exit, a group of soldiers blocked their path. Thalira drew her energy blade, the light reflecting in the walls. Ethan, trained in hand-to-hand combat and marksmanship, took out 2 soldiers with precision shots. Together they moved as a single unit, covering each other, fighting with a rhythm neither had planned but instinctively followed. Finally, they reached the tower's rooftop. The city stretched out below them, flames and smoke rising in the distance. Ethan activated his ship's teleport beacon. Within moments, a beam of light enveloped them, lifting them from the battlefield. They emerged outside the city, safe for the first time in hours. Thalira looked at Ethan with a mix of curiosity and gratitude. "You risked everything to save me," she said. "Why?" Ethan shrugged, a small smile on his face. "Because it was the right thing to do. No one should face death alone." Her alien mind struggled to understand the concept. In Thalira's world, loyalty and honor were reserved for family, citizens, or soldiers. Yet this human had acted without obligation, without expectation, and with courage beyond measure. She felt a warmth she had never experienced before. Over the next few days, Ethan stayed on Zinara, helping the queen restore order and protect her people. He shared human strategies and taught soldiers techniques that were new to them. The alien forces adapted quickly, combining their natural abilities with human ingenuity. Together, they defeated Zorath's army, reclaiming the city and securing peace once more. During this time, Ethan and Thalira grew closer. They shared stories of their worlds, their cultures, and their lives. Thalira learned about Earth, about humans, and about the struggles and triumphs of a species she had only heard of. Ethan learned about Zainara's history, its people, and the delicate balance the Queen maintained as a leader. One evening, after a long day of strategy and planning, they stood on a balcony overlooking the recovering city. The sun set in a riot of colors, painting the sky with golds and purples. Thalira turned to Ethan, her expression thoughtful. "You changed everything," she said softly. "Not just for me, but for all of Zainara." Ethan looked out at the city, the smoke slowly clearing, citizens rebuilding, and soldiers standing guard. "We did it together," he said. "Humans and Zainarians, side by side." For the first time, Thalira felt a sense of hope that went beyond her responsibilities. She realized that courage and compassion could come from unexpected places, even from a human soldier she barely knew a week ago. And Ethan realized that heroism was not about fame or recognition, but about the lives you protect and the bonds you form along the way. As the night deepened, both understood that their meeting was not just a coincidence. Fate had brought them together, and their paths were now intertwined. The Queen, who had once stood alone in the tower, facing impossible odds, had been saved by a human who believed in courage and honor. And that human had found a connection, a sense of purpose, and a friend across the stars. Though the battle was over, the story of their courage, their teamwork, and their bond was just beginning. The galaxy would remember the day a human soldier risked everything to save an alien queen, and in doing so, proved that humanity's bravery could shine even in the darkest corners of the universe. 1 year had passed since Captain Ethan Cross had rescued Queen Thalira from certain death on the planet Zainara. The memory of that day was still vivid in both their minds. For Thalira, it was a story she told no one, a private reminder of courage and friendship. For Ethan, it was a memory that had followed him back to Earth, shaping his thoughts and actions in ways he could not have imagined. Back on Zainara, life had begun to return to normal. The city, once in flames, was rebuilt with even greater care and beauty. Citizens had praised their queen's wisdom, and the memory of Zorath's attack became a tale of heroism told for generations. Yet despite the celebrations, Thalira could not forget the human who had risked everything for her. Ethan was unlike any being she had ever encountered. His courage had been instinctive yet calm. His mind had been sharp even in the chaos of battle. She often thought of his quiet smile and determined eyes. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ethan returned to his duties with a mixture of pride and longing. He was honored by his government, recognized as a hero by the media, and celebrated by the people. Yet none of it filled the space left by Zainara. He missed the alien queen and the world he had glimpsed. The galaxy felt smaller and more limited without her presence. Even in his dreams, he could see the crystal towers and glowing rivers, and he could hear her calm, confident voice guiding him through the chaos. Despite the distance, Thalira and Ethan had found a way to communicate. Using secure interstellar channels, they sent messages back and forth. At first, these messages were formal, filled with thanks and updates on their respective worlds. But as the months passed, the tone softened. They shared stories of daily life, small victories, and even jokes that only the two of them could understand. Each message brought warmth and anticipation, a reminder of a bond formed under extraordinary circumstances. The alien queen found herself thinking about Ethan at times she had never experienced before. During council meetings, while discussing trade agreements or defense strategies, her mind drifted to the human who had once saved her life. She felt a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and a longing that she could not fully explain. Her advisors noticed her distraction, though they could not understand its source. She continued to fulfill her duties with grace, yet beneath her calm exterior was a sense of anticipation, an eagerness to see Ethan again. Ethan, too, found himself distracted in his daily life. Training exercises, briefings, and missions could not fully occupy his thoughts. He thought about Zainara constantly, its landscapes, its people, and most of all, Thalira. He wondered how she was coping with the challenges of ruling her people, and whether she remembered the quiet moments they had shared on the battlefield. Each message he received from her was treasured, read and reread multiple times as if it could somehow shorten the distance between them. One day, the Interstellar Council announced a summit to be held on Zenara. Leaders and representatives from various planets were to meet and discuss interplanetary cooperation and trade agreements. Among the invitees was Ethan, representing Earth, and Thalira naturally as the queen of her people. The announcement set hearts racing. For Thalira, it meant seeing Ethan again after a year of separation. For Ethan, it was the chance to return to the planet and reunite with the alien queen whose courage and friendship had changed him. The journey to Zenara was long and filled with anticipation. Ethan prepared carefully, not only for the political discussions, but for the moment he would finally see Thalira again. He wondered how she had changed, what her expression would be, and whether their connection would feel the same as it had a year ago. His excitement was mixed with nerves. After all, a year apart could alter even the strongest bonds. As Ethan's ship approached Zenara, the planet appeared more beautiful than he remembered. Its rivers shimmered under the twin suns, and the crystal towers reflected the light in a dazzling display. The city was vibrant, with citizens going about their daily routines and soldiers patrolling the streets. The destruction from the past year was gone, replaced with careful rebuilding and renewed strength. Ethan could feel the life of the planet beneath him, its energy welcoming him back. Upon landing, he was greeted by guards and guides who escorted him to the palace. The architecture had changed slightly, with new towers and bridges connecting parts of the city he had never seen. Yet nothing could distract him from the thought of Thalira. Every step brought him closer to the queen who had once been trapped, the leader who had inspired him with her calm in the storm, and the friend who had become unforgettable. Meanwhile, inside the palace, Thalira prepared for Ethan's arrival. She stood in her chambers, adjusting her robes, though her mind was elsewhere. She thought about the first time they had met under fire, the quiet moments of understanding and the courage he had shown. For the first time in her life, she felt a personal excitement that had nothing to do with duty or politics. She wondered if Ethan had thought about her as often as she had thought about him. Finally, the moment arrived. Ethan was led into the grand hall of the palace, where representatives from various planets were gathering. Thalira stood at the far end, her posture regal and commanding, yet her eyes softened as they met his. Time seemed to slow. In that instant, the rest of the universe faded, leaving only the two of them. Ethan took a deep breath, stepping forward. "Queen Thalira," he said, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. "It's good to see you again." Thalira's lips curved into a faint smile. "Captain Ethan Cross," she replied, her voice calm yet filled with warmth. "You honor me with your presence once more." Their conversation began formally, discussing the summit and interplanetary matters, but it soon turned personal. They spoke of the year gone by, of the messages exchanged, and of the challenges they had faced. Each word carried meaning beyond its surface. They laughed quietly at shared memories, and in their eyes was the recognition of the bond that had formed during the battle that had saved Zenara. As the day progressed, Ethan and Thalira moved through the palace gardens, walking along paths lined with glowing plants and streams of liquid light. They spoke freely as though no time had passed, and yet the distance of the year added depth to their connection. Both realized that the bond formed in danger had grown into something more enduring, something built on trust, respect, and mutual admiration. During their walk, Thalira shared the challenges she had faced ruling her people after Zorath's attack. She spoke of difficult decisions, of advisors who doubted her, and of citizens who had struggled to rebuild. Ethan listened intently, offering perspective from his own experiences as a soldier and leader. Though he could not fully understand an alien ruler's responsibilities, he offered insights and support that were valuable to her. Ethan, in turn, spoke of Earth's advancements, of missions he had undertaken, and of the lessons he had learned about courage, leadership, and humanity. Thalira listened with fascination, seeing in him not only a brave soldier but a thoughtful and wise human being. Their conversations were a blend of cultures, experiences, and perspectives, yet they fit together naturally, like pieces of a larger puzzle. As the sun set over Zenara, painting the sky with colors that seemed almost unreal, Ethan and Thalira paused on a balcony overlooking the city. The lights of the towers reflected in the rivers below, and the gentle hum of life spread across the planet. In that quiet moment, both understood the significance of their reunion. It was not only personal joy that filled their hearts, but the potential for a stronger connection between their worlds. Thalira turned to Ethan, her expression softening. "You have changed much since I last saw you," she said, "and yet some things remain the same. Your courage, your determination, your heart." Ethan smiled. "And you have changed too, Your Majesty," he replied. "Stronger, wiser, and even more inspiring. But one thing has not changed, the bond we share. That will always remain." They stood together watching as the night embraced the city. The stars above seemed brighter, and the planets beyond shimmered with possibility. For both, the year of distance had strengthened their anticipation, and now, reunited, they could look forward to the future together. Though the summit was only the beginning of their renewed connection, the foundation had been laid. Trust, respect, and admiration had been proven under fire, and now, time and distance had only deepened it. Both knew that the coming days, months, and years held challenges, but they also held the promise of friendship, alliance, and perhaps something even more profound. In that moment, Ethan and Thalira realized that courage was not only found on the battlefield, it was also found in reaching out, in bridging worlds, and in the quiet moments of understanding between two beings who had once been strangers and were now forever linked. The year of distance had not weakened their bond. It had made it stronger, more meaningful, and full of hope. And so, as Zinara slept under a sky of glowing stars, the human soldier and the alien queen prepared for the days ahead, ready to face the universe together, side by side, knowing that some bonds once formed were unbreakable. The day had finally come. The interstellar summit on Zinara was in full swing, with representatives from dozens of worlds gathered in the Grand Palace. The air was filled with the hum of conversation, the rustle of ceremonial robes, and the occasional clink of metal as guards performed their duties. Yet amid the formalities, all thoughts of politics faded for one reason. Captain Ethan Cross was about to reunite with Queen Thalira. Ethan stepped out of the sleek transport that had brought him from Earth, his boots clicking softly against the polished floors of the palace corridor. He had walked these halls before, but now everything felt different. The grandeur of Zinara seemed heightened, not just because of the shining towers or glowing lights, but because of the anticipation that coursed through him. He could feel it in his chest, the same mix of excitement, nerves, and curiosity he had felt the first time he faced danger alongside Thalira. Guides and security personnel led him through the palace. He passed rooms filled with artwork depicting Zinara's history, vast windows that looked out over the city, and gardens where plants glowed softly in the sunlight. Every detail reminded him of the alien world's beauty and the life that thrived there. Yet nothing in the palace could compare to the moment he would see the queen herself. Inside her private chambers, Thalira prepared to greet him. She adjusted her robes carefully, though she felt no need for formality. Her thoughts were not on ceremony or protocol. They were on the human who had once saved her life. For a year, she had wondered what it would be like to see him again, to speak with him face to face, and to share in the quiet understanding that had first formed during the chaos of battle. When the doors opened, their eyes met across the room. Time seemed to stretch and bend. Ethan saw her first, the queen he had fought to protect, standing tall and radiant, her presence commanding yet approachable. And Thalira saw him, the human soldier whose courage had been undeniable, whose calm in the face of danger had been inspiring, and whose loyalty had left an impression she could not forget. "Queen Thalira," Ethan said, his voice steady even though his heart raced. "It is an honor to see you again." Thalira's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "Captain Ethan Cross," she replied, her voice calm but warm. "The honor is mine. Your arrival is timely and welcome." They began with formal greetings, exchanging nods and polite words. Yet despite the structure of ceremony, there was an unspoken connection. Every glance, every gesture carried meaning. The year apart had not diminished their bond, it had strengthened it, adding layers of respect, admiration, and anticipation. As the summit commenced, Ethan and Thalira moved among the representatives, discussing trade, security, and diplomacy. Though surrounded by dozens of delegates, their attention often drifted to each other. A subtle nod here, a shared glance there, conveyed more than words could. Every conversation, every laugh, every moment reminded them of the first time they had fought side by side, of the trust forged in fire and danger. During a break in the summit, Thalira invited Ethan to walk with her in the palace gardens. The gardens were a marvel of Zanara, filled with plants that shimmered with bioluminescent light, streams that flowed with crystal-clear water, and flowers that changed color with the movement of the sun. The air smelled sweet, carrying a faint fragrance of alien flora. For both, the beauty of the gardens matched the feeling of being together once more. "Do you remember the first day we met?" Thalira asked, her voice soft as they walked along a path lined with glowing trees. Ethan smiled, recalling the chaos. "I do," he said. "You were trapped in your tower, surrounded by Zorath soldiers. I thought I might fail. But then somehow we made it out. Together." Thalira nodded, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the garden. "You showed bravery beyond what I could have imagined. Not just in battle, but in your compassion. You risked everything without hesitation. And you," Ethan replied, "showed strength and wisdom beyond your years. You guided me through the chaos and I followed because I trusted you. We were a team and we succeeded together." They paused near a small stream, watching the water ripple in the gentle light. There was a quiet understanding between them, a recognition that what had formed under fire was more than a fleeting alliance. It was trust, respect, and a growing friendship that transcended species, distance, and time. Over the next hours they walked and talked, sharing stories of the year gone by. Thalira spoke of rebuilding her city, of the challenges her advisors presented, and of the ways her people had grown stronger. Ethan shared tales of Earth, missions he had undertaken, and the lessons he had learned about courage and leadership. With each story, each laugh, and each smile, the bond between them deepened. At one point, they sat on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns of Zanara were setting, painting the sky in shades of gold, purple, and blue. The lights of the towers reflected in the rivers below, creating a vision of a world alive with hope and life. "You have changed much in a year," Thalira said, her voice quiet but full of meaning. "Yet some things remain the same, your courage, your determination, and your heart." Ethan looked at her, feeling a warmth in his chest he had not felt before. "And you, Your Majesty, have grown stronger, wiser, and even more inspiring. But our bond, that has only grown with time. I have never forgotten what you and your people have taught me." Their conversation drifted from memories to dreams of the future. They spoke of the potential for Earth and Zanara to work together, of missions they might undertake side by side, and of the possibilities that awaited their worlds. Each idea sparked excitement, each plan brought them closer, and each shared vision strengthened the connection that had begun in battle. As night fell, the stars emerged in the sky, brighter than anywhere on Earth. Ethan and Thalira stood side by side, looking at the galaxy beyond. For both, the reunion was more than a personal joy. It was a symbol of hope. Humanity's courage and compassion had bridged worlds, forming a bond that could inspire others. And Zanara, in turn, had shown Ethan that even in the vast universe, friendship and trust could flourish across the stars. The summit continued over the following days, with formal discussions and agreements taking place. But for Ethan and Thalira, the most meaningful moments were those spent together in quiet reflection, walking the gardens, observing the city, or simply sitting in each other's presence. The year of separation had made these moments richer, filled with appreciation for trust, courage, and shared experiences. Finally, as the summit drew to a close, Ethan and Thalira found themselves alone on the palace balcony once more. The city below sparkled with lights, and the hum of life was steady and reassuring. "Ethan," Thalira said, her voice carrying a mixture of gratitude and warmth, "your presence here has reminded me that courage and compassion can come from the most unexpected places. You have changed not only my life but the future of Zanara." Ethan placed a hand on the railing, gazing at the alien landscape. "And you have changed me," he replied. "I have learned that heroism is not just in battle, but in trust, loyalty, and the bonds we form. What we share. It is beyond words, beyond worlds. It is something that will endure." In that moment, both understood the significance of their reunion. It was not simply a meeting after a year apart. It was a reaffirmation of trust, respect, and the beginnings of a lifelong bond. They had faced danger together. They had endured separation. And now they stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they looked out over the city, both knew that the story of their courage, friendship, and collaboration was only beginning. The galaxy would remember the day a human soldier returned to Zanara to reunite with the alien queen he had saved. It was a story not just of heroism, but of hope, unity, and the power of connection across worlds. And so, under the glowing stars of Zinara, Captain Ethan Cross and Queen Thalera embraced the future together. The reunion was more than personal. It was a symbol that bravery, friendship, and compassion could bridge even the vast distances of space. In each other they found a partner, a friend, and a reminder that some bonds once formed were unbreakable. As the night deepened, the city's lights twinkled like distant stars, reflecting the promise of new adventures, new challenges, and new beginnings. For Ethan and Thalera, the reunion was not an end, but the start of something greater. A partnership that would inspire generations and prove that courage and friendship could truly change the galaxy. The reunion of Captain Ethan Cross and Queen Thalera on Zinara was more than just a personal joy. It had sparked something greater, a sense of possibility, unity, and hope for the future. In the weeks that followed the summit, the human soldier and the alien queen worked together to strengthen the ties between their worlds. The first step was a formal alliance. Thalera called her council together, explaining the importance of trust, cooperation, and the bond she shared with Ethan. Some council members were hesitant at first. Humans were strangers, unknown and unpredictable. Yet Ethan's courage, wisdom, and proven loyalty spoke louder than words. Thalera's faith in him inspired others to listen. On Earth, leaders welcomed the alliance as a historic opportunity. Scientists, engineers, and diplomats began preparing for collaboration with Zinara. Both worlds had much to learn from each other. Human ingenuity and adaptability combined with Zinara's advanced technology and knowledge of the stars. Ethan found himself at the center of it all, not as a soldier alone, but as a bridge between two civilizations. Ethan and Thalera spent long hours planning. They shared knowledge, strategies, and ideas. The alien queen taught Ethan about Zinara's technology, from energy shields to advanced communication systems. Ethan, in return, introduced Zinarians to human problem-solving, improvisation, and adaptability in unexpected situations. Together, they discovered that combining their strengths created solutions neither species could achieve alone. Beyond the strategic and political work, they also spent time learning about each other's cultures and lives. Thalera took Ethan to the grand libraries of Zinara, showing him texts older than human history, filled with wisdom and stories of alien heroes. Ethan showed Thalera Earth music, films, and traditions, teaching her about a world she had only heard of in stories. In these moments, they laughed, shared, and grew closer, not just as allies, but as friends who respected and admired each other. One day, while exploring the crystal forests outside the city, Thalera paused beside a stream. "Ethan," she said, her voice thoughtful, "our worlds are so different, yet we have found common ground. You have taught me much about courage, hope, and friendship, and I hope I have shown you that even the most alien of beings can trust and care for a human." Ethan smiled. "You have, Thalera, more than I ever imagined. You've shown me that heroism is not only in battle, but in leadership, compassion, and the choices we make for the greater good. We have both learned from each other." The partnership quickly grew into action. Together, they initiated joint missions to explore nearby star systems, seeking knowledge and resources to benefit both worlds. Their first mission tested them in ways they had not expected. A previously unknown asteroid belt threatened trade routes with unstable rocks moving unpredictably. Zinarian technology could detect hazards, but human improvisation and quick thinking were essential to navigate safely. Ethan and Thalera led the operation, coordinating their teams and demonstrating the power of collaboration. The mission was a success. Zinarians and humans alike praised the teamwork, noting that their combined skills had prevented potential disaster. For Ethan and Thalera, it was more than a victory. It was proof that their bond could shape the future. The two species had learned to rely on each other, combining courage, intelligence, and creativity to solve problems that neither could face alone. As the months passed, their alliance strengthened. Trade routes flourished, cultural exchanges increased, and joint scientific projects led to discoveries that advanced both civilizations. Humans learned to navigate the stars with alien technology, while Zinarians adapted to human strategies of flexibility and adaptation. Throughout all this, Ethan and Thalira remained close, meeting daily to discuss progress, share ideas, and enjoy each other's company. Their connection became known across the galaxy, inspiring others. Stories of the human soldier and the alien queen circulated widely, showing that cooperation, trust, and bravery could overcome fear and uncertainty. Both species admired their friendship, and many sought to emulate it in their own interactions. One evening, after a long day of planning and meetings, Ethan and Thalira stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. The twin suns had set, leaving the sky painted with stars. The lights of the towers reflected in the rivers, and the hum of the city filled the air. "We have come far," Ethan said quietly. "From a battlefield a year ago to this moment. I never imagined our bond could grow like this." Thalira turned to him, her expression calm but filled with warmth. "Neither did I. But courage and trust have a way of creating something greater than we expect. Together we have changed not only our lives but the lives of our peoples." Their eyes met, and in that moment words were unnecessary. They understood each other perfectly. They had faced danger together, endured separation, and now shared a vision for a future filled with hope and unity. Their bond was unshakable, a testament to what could happen when courage and compassion guided actions. The months that followed were filled with adventure. Ethan and Thalira led missions to unexplored planets, discovering new resources, learning about alien species, and solving challenges that required both human ingenuity and Zenarian wisdom. Each mission strengthened the alliance and deepened their friendship. They celebrated victories, learned from setbacks, and always trusted each other's judgment. Through it all, their story became a symbol across the stars. Humans saw that their species could inspire change and build bridges even with distant civilizations. Zenarians learned that bravery and trust could come from unexpected places. And together, Ethan and Thalira demonstrated that heroism was not only about fighting, it was about connecting, understanding, and creating a better future. Eventually, the alliance led to the founding of an interstellar academy, where humans and Zenarians trained together, shared knowledge, and prepared for challenges that no single world could face alone. Ethan and Thalira oversaw the academy, mentoring the next generation and ensuring that the lessons of courage, trust, and friendship endured. In private moments, Ethan and Thalira reflected on how far they had come. They had gone from a rescue mission that had saved a queen's life to building an alliance that could change the galaxy. And through it all, they had grown together, learning from each other and finding joy, respect, and deep connection. One quiet evening, as they watched the stars from the balcony, Thalira spoke softly. "Ethan, do you realize what we have achieved? Not just victories, but understanding. Not just friendship, but a partnership that spans worlds." Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words. "I do. And I am proud to be part of it. I never imagined that saving one life could lead to so much. But here we are, changing the galaxy together." Thalira smiled. "And we will continue to do so. Together, humans and Zenarians side by side. Your courage has proven that humanity can make a difference, not only in battle but in building hope and unity." They stood together in silence, watching the glowing rivers and shimmering towers of Zenara. The galaxy stretched out beyond them, full of possibilities. They knew challenges would come, as they always did, but they also knew they could face them together. Courage, friendship, and mutual respect would guide them, just as it had from the first day Ethan had risked his life to save the queen. In the end, the story of Ethan and Thalira became legendary. It was told across planets, shared in classrooms, and celebrated in songs and histories. But for them, it was not about fame. It was about the bond they had formed, the trust they had built, and the hope they had inspired. It was about proving that courage and compassion could create connections that transcended species, distance, and time. And so, Captain Ethan Cross and Queen Thalira continued their journey, not as hero and queen alone, but as partners, friends, and symbols of what humanity and courage could achieve. Together, they faced the universe with determination, wisdom, and hope, showing that the bravery of one human soldier could change not only a life, but the future of two worlds. The galaxy was brighter because of their bond, and as long as they stood together, there was nothing they could not achieve. Courage had bridged the stars, friendship had united civilizations, and the future was full of endless possibilities.